Hey, this is John Fernay, the co-host of the Maryland Crabs, and I am here today with a Maryland Crabcake for your listening pleasure. What's a crab cake? It's not quite a full episode, it's just a little snippet. Stay tuned and check it out. And make sure you check us out on themarylandcrabs.com. You can follow us on Twitter at MD Crabs Podcast or find us on Facebook at the Maryland Crabs Podcast. And don't forget, subscribe, rate us, iTunes. Go there now. Hey, I've got Steve Kimock on the phone from me, and you may not know his name, but boy, you really certainly should after he comes in to Annapolis, Maryland on June 1st at the Ram's Head. You can get tickets at Ram's Head on stage. There are a few left, and thank you very much for joining me, Steve. How are you?
I'm not unwell, John. How about yourself?
Good. I understand you're like a Pennsylvania boy.
I am, although I'm currently in California.
That's great. I'm from Pennsylvania as well, outside of Philadelphia, and it's I can't stand the West Coast. I wonder how you made the transition out there.
Oh, you know, when I grew up in the Lehigh Valley and lived there till I was, it seems it's shrouded in mystery of time at this point, but it seems like I was like 20 or 21 or something like that, like not very old. And was with a band, and we were kind of living in a farmhouse out in the middle of some corn stubble there in Upper Bucks County. And
Upper Black Eddy?
We had, it was actually Springtown.
Okay, I know exactly where it is.
Okay, sure. So we were in Springtown, and, had been suffering through that for a while, just gig-wise, at the Pittstown Inn or wherever we were playing. And we had connections in California. We had some good friends that knew the territory, and they were like, you guys should go to California. We didn't know, but we did. And at the time, in the middle 70s, to move, from like the Bethlehem Steel being the big industry in a town to going to a place where the industry in town was, actual music and entertainment. It was Bill Graham and the Grateful Dead and Janis Joplin and all that stuff. That was pretty cool.
Well, you had mentioned the Grateful Dead, and I mean, I've got to bring it up, and you're probably sick and tired of hearing about it. But Jerry Garcia, when he was alive, had said that you are his favorite unknown guitar player. And how long ago was that?
That was back in like 1880 or something.
Okay. I mean, that's a pretty heady compliment there.
That was sweet. It was completely unsolicited. Yeah, I was surprised as anybody. I remember getting a phone call from a friend in Nashville who said, "Have you seen the Guitar Player magazine?" And I was like, "No, why?" And he says, "You should go to the store and get a Guitar Player magazine."
That's like one of those shit conversations. You don't know how it's going to go.
And I was like, oh, whatever. I didn't even have a car at the time. I walked to the music store and I got the thing and I was like, so what? And then I was like, oh shit, there it is. Yeah. So I didn't, at the time, didn't know anything about it. But, when I arrived in California, and it was maybe, 5 or 6 years before that happened, right away, because, all those people lived there, we started running into, various crew and band members. I got picked up hitchhiking in the rain one time by Phil Lesh, that kind of thing. Like everybody was right there, and it was while those guys still had an incredible amount of notoriety, it wasn't quite the the sort of rock star, rock royalty status that they got to after Touch of Grey. That was yet to come. So everybody was right there. So it was like it's just by proximity and inclination, everybody ran into each other.
You've kind of gone the whole spectrum of musical styles, and this, I mean, I listened to a couple of your singles, which is in advance of your album that's coming out in the fall, and it's hard to sort of define this. I mean, they're synth, they're new age, I sense a little bit of like even some Thomas Dolby in there too, a little bit. I mean, what's the latest incarnation for Steve Kimock, and what can we expect when you come into Annapolis?
How do I do this without knowing, how much the listener, has of an overview? This project the one that I'm traveling with now, is it's kind of a combination of a couple of things. I mean, in terms of chemistry and musical direction. It's myself and Bobby Vega, okay, on guitar and bass. And Bobby and I have been playing together literally forever, all different kinds of stuff. Mostly rock and funk oriented improvisation, some blues. We've been in 100 bands together, lived together. We've been at it a while. So there's an improvisational chemistry there, and that's part of the just sort of the tradition of the thing. And then my son John is in there, who is an amazing drummer and an amazing musician and a beautiful person. Besides that, I'm not saying that because I'm dad. I'm saying that because she kicks my ass with those qualities all the time. She's a great writer. So one of the tracks that you have there, Sagan, that's very much a John Kimock contribution component to this thing. He's super great. He also does a Mike Gordon gig, and they got a record coming up at some point.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how was it working with him? I mean, did it just sort of fit naturally, or was it a struggle? I mean, I'm thinking about me working with my kid. I'd kick his ass.
Johnny has been going to gigs. Like, if he showed up at the gig, I could bring you pictures. And when you see how young he started on stage, I mean, he was like literally 2 and was up there, with the sticks playing along. He's been listening to me and to Bobby since he was an infant, literally. And he knows everything I do. And I've heard pretty much every note he's ever played, in terms of what he's practicing on, what he's working on, if he's got something new. So we're super familiar with each other. And it's family, and he's the kid. So and I'm the dad. So there's always that dynamic. And I think that's more difficult for him on maybe on a generational level or a family level than it is for me, because I'm bound by nature as a parent to be unconditionally loving. You know what I mean? I don't have the option. I was there like every minute of the kid's life, and it's like, there he is. It's so it's. I don't know if you have kids, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do. I've got 3 of them, and it's I get that, but that's very special that you're able to create music and create a living with them. That's incredible.
Hey man, it's like for me, it's a blessing beyond imagination. I don't know how I ever deserved such a the firstborn picked up the ball in the way that he did, because he's a really special cat, great musician. And then there's one more guy in the band that's not a guy, Leslie Mendelson. Okay, she just put out a CD too. We just had a little release party down in Mill Valley at the Sweetwater just a night or 2 ago. Leslie and I have this just sort of kind of like a songwriting connection and an affection for all the quirky pop and ballads and just songwriting craft in general. And so that's what she brings to the table. So the whole thing is kind of a combination of the old thread of the improvisational rock band thing that me and Bobby have. Plus all the creativity and fresh energy and drive that Johnny puts into the thing, and then there's the the songwriting craft repertoire component. That's the basic dynamic.
And Leslie, we can hear we can hear her vocals on Variation, right?
That's correct.
Steve, you're doing this East Coast tour. You're sort of going back to your roots. I'm just looking at your upcoming dates. You're in Annapolis on June 1st. You're going up to Steel Stacks up in Bethlehem.
That'll be fun.
Home on June 2nd. You're the Ardmore Music Hall, which is the old 23 East Cabaret, in June 9th, which is I used to work there when I was up there. I know Roy Buchanan is one of your influencers. Huge influence, yeah.
And
I had seen him one time, and it was a couple months before he had died, played a cabaret, and it was just a show that just totally blew me away. Absolutely incredible. But, you've got Missouri, you've got Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Massachusetts, New York, Vermont coming up in the month of June before you head back.
Correct.
And we do have a couple tickets still left at ramsheadonstage.com. And you've got a June 1st date. The doors will open at 7 p.m. with the show at 8 o'clock. And you've got Steve Kimock, who's going to come from California. And check out some of the music when we go out of this episode. But incredible musician, been around. When Jerry Garcia says you're my favorite unknown guitar player, it's somebody that you really should perk your ears up and listen to. And I've listened to Sagan and Variation. Can't wait to hear it. I can't wait to see you on the 1st and get the album when it comes out. Well, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day for spending a couple minutes with us. We look forward to seeing you here on June 1st in Annapolis. Have you ever been to Annapolis before?
I believe I have.
Yeah, we're a fun little town. We like it.
I can't wait.
We can't wait to see you. And have a great weekend.
I will, man. You too. We'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks so much.
In all that time, there was not a hint of life. Not a blade of grass, not a footprint, not a kangaroo rat, not a microbe, not even a single organic molecule. It says something about the uniqueness and preciousness of what we have around us.
And today there are three. Brand X, brand Y, brand Z.
And yet, the reality is far more exotic, far more tantalizing. Everybody did it only a few generations ago.
Heads up, she's coming down.
But today, the situation is different. It is clear we have made great changes in the past, and we can do so again. So, it's just as well. Pole to pole with life. Organisms in deep submarine vents and hopping spiders at the top of Mount Everest.
Brand X, brand Y, brand Z.
To be alive.
This has been the Maryland Crabs podcast with Tim Hamilton and John Fernay. Sure to follow them in all the regular places, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and online at themarylandcrabs.com. Take a moment to rate us on iTunes. Now, get the hell out of my kitchen. Seriously, go!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.